We were supposed to be live up there now, and unfortunately, we've just gone streaming now. So Auckland 2021 Armageddon. It was going to be our 100th episode, and we were going to be joining you up there live. However, due to Delta, our Auckland friends have done the hard yards. They're trying to contain the spread of the virus for the rest of the country. So we have decided to do a prequel, if you will, of Armageddon. And the only way we could kick off a prequel is with our good friend, the one, the only, the multi-talented Mr. John Barrowman. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, how is everybody?
Well, I don't know how up to date you are, but we've been hit by Delta. So the top end of the country are locked down.
Wait, say that one more time. The top end of the country are all in lockdown. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so Auckland, the Waikato, they are in what we call level 3, which means that they're basically at home unless they're essential workers or can work safely. Restrictions on the number of people who can gather, encouraged to work from home, schools are still closed. And Northland, which you're familiar with, which is to the north of Auckland, because of that, they're sort of locked in Northland. They can still go out and go to restaurants and that, like the rest of the country can, but of course they can't travel through Auckland to go anywhere south. So,
if you want to, we all know if you want to go anywhere, you got to go through Auckland.
Yeah, especially if you're up north. So yes, but hey, they're sacrificing for the rest of the country to try and contain Delta for as long as we can, so that we can get our vaccination numbers up to 90%. And then we enter the phase where we, like the rest of the world, who have been doing for quite some time now, start to live with COVID as part of our everyday lives.
Absolutely. And that's, I say we, but in the UK, and also I'm in the UK now, but was in this morning, last night, I was in the US, but I'm triple vaccinated. We're doing everything we can. And I just had an incident I parked my car at one of the parking lots, and I was on the bus from going from the parking lot to the terminal. And I'm sitting, and there was a guy in the back, and he didn't have a mask on. And a woman next to me turned and said, do you mind putting your mask on? Quite nicely. Mm-hmm. And he just started ranting and raving, as did this other young lady on the other side of him, who they like banded together, and they started shouting at us. And I've just had enough of it. I have had enough. And I sat there very quietly, and I just looked at the lady next to me thinking, I'm one of those people who speaks out myself. And I just turned and I said, do you two mind just shutting up? We don't know your opinions. We don't want to know your opinions. The fact is, everybody else in this bus has a mask on, and you're in the minority. Now, like the vote where you lost, put the mask on. And the guy just looked at me and he went, you got a problem with it? I said, yeah, my martial arts ass will have a problem with it in about 5 minutes.
Excellent. See, a hero on the screen and a hero in the streets. Sorry, it's early morning.
A hero in the sheets and a hero in the streets.
That's what we hear. So yes, so you're in Wales, hence the change of location. Normally we wouldn't see you in the bathroom.
No, I mean, I would need to let everybody. This is our flat in Wales. And those are the 2 bedrooms down that hallway, and that way is the living room. And then the kitchen is over there. But at the moment, I forgot an adapter. So I've had to plug the computer into the shaving outlet, because it's an American plug. And you can't plug those in the UK as like in New Zealand. Yeah. But here's the bathroom. And you're in the bathroom, the guest bathroom with John. So I could even just sit down on the toilet and talk to you.
Well, as long as you're comfortable.
Well, listen, wherever you are, wherever you may be, let your Hoovian ring free.
Oh, other side, there we go.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, you've traveled from America to the UK. What are the differences for those of us that haven't been out of the country for several years now? What are the differences you're noticing between the 2 nations and how they're coping?
Well, everybody where we live in Palm Springs, we got a very strict mask mandate, and our infection levels have been very, very low. We were in lockdown, as we know last time we talked, we were in lockdown for about a year. But however, we're allowed to go and do things now. Things have opened up basically, but in spaces like in stores, in in clubs, in bars, in restaurants, you can take them off when you're eating, but they require you to go in with a mask on. And also they're requiring that you show your vaccination cards. And this is just Palm Springs, because in Palm Springs, for those of you who don't know, it's a very large LGBTQIA community. So we have a lot of people who are immune deficient with HIV and other diseases. We have an older population. It's where the gays go to retire. And a lot of other people go to retire, and they, there might be health problems. So we've taken it on board as a community to protect not just ourselves, but we're doing it to protect other people. I've been triple vaccinated. I don't need to walk. I don't feel I want to walk or need to walk out. This is a personal opinion with a mask. However, I do it because it's protecting others. And that's what we have to do. So that is where I came from. Now here in the UK, everyone's walking around in the streets without masks on. And I was told that you could go into pubs and restaurants and places without masks. However, when I went to the grocery store before we were talking, I was in the grocery store and it said wear a mask, and everybody was wearing masks. So there's a bit of confusing rules at the moment. So the fact of the matter is, and then we can move on from it, just please get vaccinated. It's for your own safety and for others' safety, and whatever your beliefs may be. If you believe in God, Time Lords, or whatever, just know that we were given the intelligence to change things and do things. And that is to decide that we should get vaccinated and save the population, because the doctor would do it. Exactly.
Now, we've got some questions here from people who
answer the questions. They don't want to hear about my shit.
Well, funnily enough, Karen Ferguson was asking if you were in the bathroom. She picked up on it straight away, so we've answered that one. And again, I apologize for my pronunciation. It's my horrible, thick New Zealand accent. But Taylor Hudson says, hey, John, what can you tell us about all-star musicals? I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, that's why I'm here for the next 10 days. I'm here to film 2 episodes of All-Star Musicals, and it's on ITV, the main channel here, and it will be, I can't tell you who's in it, but we have a vast amount of celebrities who are, British celebrities who are going to be involved with, basically the show is us creating their dream musical theater number, and we do it with production value. We do it with basically lift it from the show and put it on stage for them. And then the in-house, we got a studio audience this time. It's not virtual. So the studio audience will vote on who they think is the best. And I rehearse on Monday and do a read through, and I have a wardrobe fitting Monday. And then I come back to Wales. And then I'm here till Thursday, go back, I do rehearsals Friday, and then we start shooting the following week. So we do rehearsals twice during the week, and then we shoot everything back to back all at once. So it's pretty hefty. And then, it's a good night of entertainment. It got really great ratings, and that's why they've asked us to do more. So yeah, thumbs up on it.
Excellent. No, I've heard great things, and it sparks another question. Probably a 2-pronged question for you. Number one, what is your dream musical scene? One that you've played versus one that you would love to do.
Well, I've done a lot of musicals, and I've always said that I would love to do this one again, and that's La Cage aux Folles. I'd love to recreate it. I'd love to do a tour of it. I'd love to do a tour where we do like a UK tour, a US tour, and a New Zealand and an Australian tour. So head south, for that. And, if we do it for a period of time in the place where we're doing it with, if we were to do it in New Zealand, bring some talent from where we're coming from, but also fill it with other New Zealand talent. And, I know the perfect part, my friend, I don't know if you know who she is, my friend Caroline O'Connor, who's an Australian actress, musical theater actress, and done quite a few musical films. I'd love her to play the kind of, it's the cafe nightclub, the nightclub one. I can't remember the character's name, but it's the other female part. And I know we'd have a great time. So it's that kind of thing. Yeah. I've kind of got that in my head for like putting people in it that are my dream cast of fun people I like to work with, that get me, that know my sense of humor, and we can have a good time.
Mm. Well, I mean, you're blessed with a situation where you can still recreate characters that you've played 20, 30 years ago because you don't age. Whereas there's a play called, or a musical called Slice of Saturday Night set in England, where I played one of the young characters 10, 15 years ago, and now I want to play the older guy.
Oh, it's eventually going to happen to all of us. There's only so long that this face will hold up the way it is. So
true. Although the face of Bo, it'll last forever.
Yeah, but you can't do a tap number when you're stuck in a fucking jar.
I'm sure you'd find a way.
Like that.
So we have a question here from Alvin Apostle, who wants to know, how did you get into the headspace for playing the villain in The Flash?
For me, it's not very difficult to become somebody else. I know that may sound a little strange, but the thing that was glorious about Malcolm is he was so unlike me, and I was able to kind of. I'm not one of those actors who needs like 2 hours or an hour to get into the character. Tell me what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do it. I treat it like it's a dance number, or when I'm with the dialogue, you just have to find their voice. And Malcolm's voice was, I don't know if I can do it without all the gear on, but Malcolm's voice was very down here, and it was very low, and he was right in this kind of range. So when he got mad, it was pointed, right? So there's a difference. Whereas Captain Jack Harkness, how you doing? It's all up here. It's peppy. It's buzzy. So you have to find the voice of the person. I don't like calling him a character. And then you just add your own flair to it. And Captain Jack was the humor, the naughtiness, the sassiness was me. But Malcolm, I kind of found that Malcolm's big thing was the smile. He would be very serious and very straightforward without the glasses, and he'd be talking to you. But if he went, you're dead.
Oh, I'm getting chills. I honestly, I'm getting goosebumps. With Jack Harkness, though, how did you manage to put sex in every single word that you uttered? That's my question.
I don't know. It's just it's a knack that I have, and I am unapologetic about it. And I don't. And if people are giving me grief for it now or whatever, they can just piss off, because it's me, it's who I am, it's what people love about me. And if you don't, I've always said this, if you don't like me, change the channel, or just don't get involved. I really don't want to hear your opinion. So, but yeah, that's so I don't know how I put the sexiness into it. It just happens.
It's just natural charisma. I love it.
It just happened.
It just happened again. So we've got Kimberly Fatt here from Auckland, New Zealand. She wants to let you know that she loves you so much, but would like to know, if you go anywhere or any when in the TARDIS, where or when would you go?
I know exactly. Most people would go back and they would try to change history. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go back and meet up with a very famous politician or person. I would go back and I would meet up with my grandmother, and I would take SD cards of everything that I've done, and I would show it to her. I would show it to her before, like at a period where I knew she was still all there, and she would understand. And I would say, look what I've done, look what I'm doing. And because she was my biggest supporter. Sorry, the jet lag.
Yeah.
So that's where I would go. It's not, and that might sound selfish to people, but I don't care. And it's something that I would do. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't change things. I think that as human beings, we have to live through the good times, the bad times, the tragedy, in order to suffice change and make things better for people. But I would do a selfish thing, and I'd go back and I'd do it to I'd let my grandmother see everything I've accomplished. I
see nothing selfish about that at all.
That's a good question.
Yeah. We have Louise Sipthorpe. Hi, John.
Fuck off, Louise.
I was waiting for that. Of all the characters you've played on stage and screen, which of their characteristics would you most like to have yourself?
I would like to have, well, see, I think I've learned something, Louise, from every character that I've ever played. And I say that going back to when I played Bobby in Company at the Kennedy Center and that was my close workings with Stephen Sondheim. Bobby helped me grow up a little bit in my 30s. It made me realize that, you can't always be, although I tried to just let that kid inside flourish all the time, but it's, I think I've learned something from every character. Captain Jack taught me about being fun and but getting my point across and sticking to the plan, if that makes sense. Characters like, I say I'd like to be able to dance like Billy Crocker and anything goes, but I was him. So those kind of things, that was the challenge I learned. So I think I've learned something from every single character that I've played. Malcolm Merlin, for me, I learned to learn how to be an asshole. I learned how to love an asshole. No, but yeah, I think I've learned something from every character I've ever played.
Excellent. So Sarah Everett asks a question that for me actually happens to have a lot of meaning at the moment. What's your go-to happy music?
Oh, well, I'm going to play one for you right now because I've got my phone here too. Let me just turn on my Spotify and I will play to you what was last played on. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
You're going to laugh. It's called Alaska. And it's like house kind of fun, uplifting music. That was the last. I played that while I was landing today because I figure if anything goes wrong, at least I'll be smiling. Anyway, and it gets into a real kind of good groove and beat. Here we go. No singing, no nothing. Then, let me just stop this and let me go back and I'll play the next one that where is it? See, Spotify confuses me sometimes. Let me just do this here. I've been listening to a lot of Charlie, I never say his last name right. Puth? Charlie Puth?
Not familiar with him.
Okay, but this song devastates me. Ready? No matter how hard I try, you keep pushing me aside and I can't break through. It's Adam Lambert's version of Cher's song Believe.
Yes.
And if I listen to this in the car, I have to pull over. I just think he sounds beautiful. And what I love with music, listen, here we go. Lonely one heart, do you believe in life after life? It's too high for me. So if I sing it, I'll bring it in a lower key. But for me, music is not just about the beat or the sound. It's about the feeling that it gives you, how it makes you feel. And different music, there was a complete change of two different styles. I can listen to maybe house music. I can listen to ballad stuff. I can listen to, I even like listening to some, like hymn music, stuff like that. Music, if it strikes you, you shouldn't be embarrassed about listening to it no matter what. The only one that I don't get into as much as I think I should is opera.
Mm. Mm.
It just doesn't click for me, but that's not to say that it's not good. And I appreciate the musicality of it. And Scott, my husband, has introduced me more to a lot of operas, but I saw a performance of Madame Butterfly, Madame Butterfly at the Coliseum in London. And it was devastating because I'd never really sat and appreciated the entire production. And the soprano was an amazing soprano from who was renowned for singing the roles. So I got to see something very, very special. Anyway, so that's the music that I go to.
Excellent. No, I mean, I'm a bit more simple. I like two kinds of music, country and Western. No, it's,
Well, I like that too. I mean,
Yeah.
the moment that I have to dance in the car is, I know it's the most banal one, is I have something like Applebee's on a hot night. I just think it's great. It's good stuff. Hey, nothing can beat Dolly Parton.
No. Although my partner has got me into a chap by the name of Orville Peck. Seriously think you should check him out if you get a chance. Orville Peck.
Orville Peck, like in Orville and Wilbur.
Yeah, Orville and Peck with an E. Sorry about my flattening of the vowels. Peck.
Peck. P-I-C.
P-E-C-K.
Okay, this is Orville Peck. Okay, so this is like sit back.
Wait.
Ooh, this is making love music.
The voice.
Okay, I'm gonna favor all this and I'll listen to it. In fact, some people have asked me, and I've started doing it. When I'm listening to stuff, if I'm traveling or whatever, I immediately put it onto Twitter so people can hear and see what I'm listening to. So I'm just going to download. I've added that to my library. So
well worth it. Trust me. Yeah. I mean, his voice just transcends my emotions sometimes, and I just Anyway, back to the questions. Amanda Berendt. Oh, this is an interesting one. Which role that would traditionally be considered opposite gender in film, TV, or theater would you love to be able to do?
I was just thinking about this the other day because I'm having a meeting about something coming up, and I'm not, as you know, I don't talk about stuff that's going to be in the future. However, I would love to play Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. That for me, yes, I would love to play even if if it was gender flipping where I would drag up and do it. I don't know if people would be upset by that or whatever, but if we let the Joe Gillis be played by a woman, and let's do it, see what happens. I know they do it in the production of Company has done it to a great success. And Sondheim loves when stuff like that is done, but I'd like to play Norma Desmond. There you go.
Brilliant. I would, and tour that to New Zealand as well, please.
And tour that to bring that down to New Zealand and scare the shit out of everybody.
Right, we're going to change tack now. Iker Jimenez says, if Jack and Malcolm teamed up to fight a Whoniverse villain or a Whovian villain, who would you like them to fight?
Well, I would like them to fight the Cybermen, because I only got to fight a cyber girl, and she was locked in our basement in Torchwood. Lisa. But if it was a Cyberman, I think that Malcolm and Jack would have a really good challenge, because the Cybermen, for me, with the Daleks, Davros, and I fought the Daleks numerous times. Davros, one of the great supervillains. I think that Cybermen would be right up there. And I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe chuck in a Weeping Angel, because I don't know how Malcolm would deal with that. Because Malcolm could technically not blink. He could put a spell on himself and make himself not blink. It would be a good challenge. Anyway,
I can hear the fan fiction laptop starting right now.
Yes, but please, if you do fan fiction, please make us have clothes on. Thank you.
Yeah, but when it's with yourself, it's okay.
Listen, David, I've said to David one time, I said, David, have you seen the fan fiction that people have got the pictures and everything of us? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, have a look at this. And I showed him, and he went, oh, John, dear God, my God. I said, yes, my God. I said, I'm the top.
Oh, which segues nicely into our next question. Mimi K says, "Hi John, you're the only reason why I'm up this early on a Saturday morning. What gets you up early on a weekend morning?"
Besides the dogs,
Yeah, besides the dogs.
besides a good licking from the puppies. Yeah, no, listen, I'm an early riser. Many people find this hard to believe because they think that I am the more high maintenance one in the relationship. And although he would give me the face and, disagree, everybody who knows us knows that Scott is the more high maintenance than I am. I can get up still wearing my my gym jams, whatever t-shirt and shorts it was, I went to bed, and I can go through the morning. I'll get up sometimes at dawn. Like the other day, I was up at about 5 a.m. and I just started doing laundry and tidying up, and I have my coffee, and then I've watched the sunrise. Sometimes I'll get up at 6 or 7. It just depends on how I feel. But I have no problem wearing my shorts and my t-shirt for half the day or even the full day that I slept in. However, my husband, when he gets up, has to go through, he can't be up before 9. He doesn't rise before 9, and he's not out of the bathroom until about 10:30 after he has dried him. This is the only reason we have hair dryers in our houses, because I don't use them. They're for Scott. He'll hair dry, cream, the works. He has a routine he goes through, which is him. I don't hassle him for it. But everyone's like, oh, it must take you ages to. No, I'm really quick. I'm in and out of the shower in less than 7 minutes, if that, right? And then I'm out, and Scott is in there for 20. I sometimes have to go in and go, we need the water for other things. Can you get out? Get out of the shower. It's 25 minutes. It's too long.
On the one hand, it's a revelation that probably is surprising to a lot of people. But then, of course, that makes you realize that you look as good as you do like that, where the rest of us do need 20, 30 minutes in the shower.
No, I just know how to do it quickly. And there's another one of those lines that, makes everything sound sexy.
Oh. So Steph Gather Cole says that Torchwood is 15 years old today.
It is.
Thanks for making me feel old there, Steph. So she wants to wonder, what was your favorite Jack and Yanto moment, which was to film or to see play out on TV?
I'm pretty proud of all of the Jack and Yanto moments that we had, because it was the relationship that was developed, and it was one of the first relationships of its kind with two men on camera. Sometimes my ego sometimes gets a little neat when I hear people saying like these revelations of these characters and new relationships that are going on television now. We did it a long time before, and it was much more risky when we did it back then, particularly for someone like Gareth, who, is not a gay man. And he could have, in those days, done something to his career that maybe he didn't want. So it was a big risk. But all of my favorite scene is the one where we were in the, I called it the kind of the botanical area in Torchwood, and we were up making out, and I had my hand down his trousers, and I was simulating what I was, that kind of motion. So you get what I was simulating. And, we had that scene, and Eve, was walking in, and she cracked up, and we had to shoot it again. And she walked in again and cracked up. And eventually I was saying to Gareth, we've got to make it look real. So I'm just going to be, I'll continue to rub your thigh like that. And he went, that's not my thigh.
Kudos.
And I was like, Gareth, you big boy, you surprised me. So yeah, that's because the reason I love it is because of the fun that we had. And Gareth knows me as a human being and an individual, and I'm respectful, and I like to have fun, and I know how kind of far to push the fun, and I know when not to go too far. And Gareth was always there with me. So I loved working with Gareth, and can't wait to see him again. Next, I'll be back again at the end of November for Wales Comic Con. If I got the date wrong, don't scream, everybody, but I will be there. So yeah. But so that particular scene was one of my favorites, and I remember the first kiss that we ever did when he was lying in the water in the hub, and the discussions that we had before it about, because I didn't know him as well as I do now, and Gareth was new to it, and I discussed how I was going to kiss him, where we were going to do it. Now they have a coordinator who does that. But I took it on myself to do it, to make sure that he was comfortable and he wasn't going to be upset or offended by anything. And we wanted to make it look as real as possible. So yeah, so those probably are the two. The first time I kissed him and the time I stroked his thigh, which wasn't his thigh.
So Sonia Thompson's asking you a question, which is going to be a yes or no answer. And I'm pretty sure I know what it'll be interesting to see what the answer is, but I'm going to add a little bit to it just for my own interest. So would you consider being the next James Bond if the part was offered to you? And my little twist on that is, what is something new that you would like to bring to the James Bond character if you were to play James Bond?
So the first part of the question would be yes, because if a role I've been a James Bond fan for a very long time. And in fact, there was one time when it was before Daniel Craig. I think it was Pierce Brosnan, or because Pierce was before Daniel, if I'm correct.
Yes.
I actually met with the Broccoli's, and they told me I was too young. So at that time, and I get it, but I wanted to meet them. I wanted to go to the meeting, and, I was seen for it. And because I think they were also, if I'm correct, thinking about Hugh Grant at the same time. So, and I might be completely wrong. I'm just telling you my experience in the story. So yes, I would say yes. What would I bring different to it? I think, and again, I had this discussion with my driver today, Martin, about it. I think I would bring him in, and please understand this when I say this. Sometimes if you throw change too quickly to people, and it's good to upset people. I get that. But sometimes you have to ease the change in. I'd like to start him off, if I were doing it, I'd like to start him off kind of like that Jack was, or I not like Jack was, but almost just bisexual. Bring in the bisexuality of the character, so that it opens up those doors for bisexual men and women to understand, they're represented. So, and then, then maybe 5 years down the line, then we could maybe have a trans actor playing Bond, or vice versa, do trans and then go to bi. However, I'm not saying one is better than the other, so don't troll me online for this. That's what I would hope to do, is to slightly push the boundary to make the change, so that Bond is not all about just one cis man going after can you say cis woman?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question.
No, I don't know. So, but you understand what I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Understands what I mean. So it's not just male, female, male, he could be male, male, he could be, and he could be male, two males and a female.
I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised there hasn't been a scenario where he has seduced a guy to get into the secret base.
There was one thing, I can't remember if it was the correct, but I think it was Javier Bardem was playing the character where Bond was sitting in the chair with his testicles hanging out. That was alluded to that. And Bardem was doing something to them. And, to the extent that Bond said, well, it's not the first time this has happened, with alluding to that he'd done it before with something with a man. And I thought that was, in that time, in that period, it was clever, but it's like the whole Loki situation at the moment. He says one line that he's bisexual. Give him a fucking boyfriend. Just do it. Give him a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Give the character the relationships that we can recognize and look at. And I love Tom, and I love the show and everything. And Loki's one of my favorite misunderstood characters. I love you, Loki. But if you're going to say that he's bisexual, make him bisexual.
Yep.
Show us him kissing somebody. Just because don't be afraid to do that stuff. So that's the kind of thing I would like to push if I were, which I never will be James Bond, but that's what I would do.
I mean, maybe not James Bond, but you'd make a great villain.
Thank you very much.
But speaking of that, Tom Taylor, who's a comic book writer from Australia, and has been to Armageddon a few times. He's in charge of the new Son of Krypton, the son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, and his who's taken on the mantle of Superman now, bisexual, and I love watching the flames go up and everyone's screaming and shouting, and it's like,
yeah,
you know what?
It's There's amazing. Nothing wrong. You can scream all you want. You can throw your toys out of the pram. There's nothing wrong with it. People have been bisexual since the beginning of time. So, and people have, there's been different genders, and it's just now that things are not becoming more prominent because people are tired of hiding, and trans people are tired of hiding, bisexual people are tired of hiding. I was tired of hiding as a gay man, so I came up. So everybody just live your truth, and the more you live your truth and the more we represent it in a good way, there are bad gays, there are bad bis, there are bad trans people, there's bad straight people. So we have to represent everything, but don't just think we're a stereotype. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, you are who you are.
At the end of the day, you're another day older.
Right, let me just flow here. Okay. Right, I'm sorry about this, about the pronunciation. It's Marianne Mipara Vega. She says, "Kia ora, John. Your role for Captain Jack Harkness, has helped me build confidence in myself and inspired me to follow my goals. I'm forever grateful to you. My question is, what was your reaction when you found out you were going to be a part of Doctor Who, and how did you feel when you first got the role of Captain Jack Harkness?"
Well, I never thought that ever I would be cast in Doctor Who ever as an actor, because I was growing up in the States and I was only watching it on PBS, and it seemed so far away. And then I came over to the UK in '89 and I started doing my musicals, the West End. I was building my career, a name for myself, and I was in Anything Goes, and I'd done children's television, done some other things, and lo and behold, this thing came up. And Russell told me later that he said, he was interested in me for a part in, and he wanted to look at me for Queer as Folk, but I was booked and I was busy doing theater. So when he came to see Anything Goes to see me before he, actually when he called me into the office to come and read, he just wanted to see that if I still had the matinee idol good looks that he remembered. And I, not being stupid, when I went to the meeting, I wore leather pants, and the actual leather pants that Captain Jack wore in the first episodes with Christopher Eccleston, those were my own pants, and I still own them because they couldn't get leather pants at that time of the season. But those were the pants I wore into the meeting. I had my helmet on. I took my helmet off from the motorcycle, and I sat down with my legs right, and I just leaned back, and I was like, hey, and they told me afterwards, they're like, oh my God, he got the job. They were like, oh my God, it's him, he got the job, we can't believe it. And they were like, can you just read for us? They said, we just had to make you read because we couldn't just give it to you, which we were ready to give it to you. And they were but it was 20 minutes after that meeting, I got back into central London. I had to do an evening show. An old woman I was in Covent Garden, my niece was with me, and I literally did, I was like, yeah, and I did a running backflip off a wall, and this old woman said to me, "You're very excited, dear." And she said, "Do you have something to tell?" And I said, "Yes, but I can't tell you for at least 9 months." And I was like,
probably walked away thinking that you're about to become a father.
Correct, which would have been weird with my niece there because she was too young. And I went off and I did a show, and that was it. And I knew at that point I was going to be Captain Jack Harkness. I was going to be on Doctor Who. I didn't know what the future held from that. I just knew at that point I was going to be doing 5 episodes, and that was it. And little did I know then that was going to just change my life completely. But the dream of a kid wanting to be part of Doctor Who, dreams can happen. Some don't, some do. But if they do, and you're blessed with that, then that's why I try to share it with everybody. And it means the world to me.
Excellent. Jade Anderson says, Wilcox, can we get a shout out for the hand scan?
Yay! I know that. I know what that is.
Yeah,
It's too long to explain to everybody.
Inside joke, and that's fine. That's just for the member of the gang.
It's not really in. You can follow. You can join the gang if you want.
There you go.
And Twitter and stuff like that. Yeah.
If you want more, go to Twitter. Michael O'Regan wants to know, how do you remember your lines?
Sometimes I don't. Listen. Oh, I'm going to tell you a story. Well, what I like to do first off, how I remember them. We learn things. We pick up things in sevens. I don't know if you know that, but I like to then look at my lines as in chunks of seven. And once you know the character, and once the writers know how you're playing the character, they write for you, and they know how you speak. So it's easier for you to memorize and learn dialogue. It becomes second nature to you, and it's a different part of your memory when you're learning like a show that you're going to do 8 times a week for a year, as opposed to dialogue you're going to do for 20 minutes one day, and then it's done. So you learn how to do those two different types of learning. But I was doing I was on the Shonda Rhimes show. What was the one where she was the fixer for the president?
Such as this.
Scandal. I always wanted. I'd done a pilot for Shonda Rhimes, and I then went and said, look, I really want to work for you. I want to do stuff for you. And they wrote this character where I was the spin doctor for the president's wife, and I was doing Arrow at the time, and the shooting for Arrow ran over. I was, was learning my lines for the dialogue for Scandal. It was a lot of words. I was confident I was doing it. I learned it. I then finished filming at 4:00 in the morning. I had to get on a plane at 6. I arrived in Los Angeles, went right to set, had my wardrobe fitting. I had some breakfast, and then I was put on set at about 10 o'clock. I had the worst day of my life filming. I couldn't remember anything because I was tired. I was nervous. I knew it. And there were a couple of takes that it would go and it would be fine. And then we'd go to run it again. And I would get in the middle of it and go, oh, and I was mortified because it was my chance to prove to Shonda that I could do this. And I learned that was a lesson that I learned, that I took too much on at one time. And I think it makes me physically sick when I think about the moments, because the whole crew, everybody was waiting, and I ran over in time, but the editor made me look brilliant, made me look amazing. But I have never spoken to any of them from that show since that. I'm so mortified by it. So there's lessons learned every day, and in every level you can learn different lessons. And that one was a big one. Because I want to be on Bridgerton, and I'm never going to be on it
now. So Dan King wants to know, what was it like starring in Shark Attack 3 Megalodon? And did you know how iconic that certain line would become?
No, that line in Megalodon was an ad-lib, because the director, who went under a false name, that should tell you something about the movie. And I did that movie. That movie helped me buy my first flat. Okay, so has a very soft spot in my heart for it. But the director one day told me just to throw out a couple of really hard lines to try and get some kind of reaction from the actress I was working with. And I just decided I can swear and stuff on here. Yeah, no problem. Is that all right?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah. So I was doing the dialogue, and I'd say, yeah, I'm really wired, to the girl. I said, I'm wired. What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy? And immediately she just went, but if you hear the outtake of it, the whole crew burst out laughing and screeching. And I was like, it was a joke. It was an ad-lib, but they kept it in the goddamn movie. And it's now ranked as one of the top 5 lines in B movie history. I think the better line is when they put it on like TV or on some of the cable channels. This is the line. Hey, I'm pretty wired. what do you say I take you home and watch I Love Lucy? So all of a sudden he's gay. Oh,
Oh,
Ricky! So yeah, I love Shark Attack, and the game that you need to play with it is you play a drinking game, and every time you hear the word "fuck," you have to drink. I guarantee you, in the first 7 minutes, you'll be pissed.
yeah. I
You'll
don't know
be off control.
and stop after 7 minutes, because if you keep going for the rest of the movie, you'll be dead.
Yes, you will be.
Okay, we've got a message here from Katie Grace. She just wanted to say to you that it meant so much to her that you addressed her as the 13th Doctor when she was cosplaying her back in 2017.
Yeah.
The bonding over 13 being the Queen is a happy memory that she looks back on a lot during the pandemic. What Katie would like to know is, what's a special memory that you have when you look back at the lockdown?
When I got out of lockdown?
No, when you look back and think about lockdown, is there any sort of particular memory that springs to mind about that I think, like Katie, resonated and helped her get through?
Mine is kind of a mixed thing, Katie, and I'm so glad that you had a positive thing come out of it. Mine was very mixed. I found it very difficult because I'm someone who's all over the place. I love my work. I enjoy. For me, it's not about the money. Granted, I get paid well to do what I do, but I do it because of the love of what I do and the joy that I think I bring. So kind of touching on the aspect of, with all the crap that's gone on recently and that's been tried to be taken away from me, that was kind of what happened in the pandemic. Everything just stopped and I didn't know what to do. So I became an organizer. I learned how to organize cupboards. I started cleaning, doing things, So I don't know if there's a fond. One of the good things is Scott and I spent a lot more time together, and we enjoyed our time together. I have I call it the COVID roll on my hip that appeared because of it. So I enjoyed my food. But yeah, so I tried to find the things to enjoy and do. The hardest bit was not seeing people, and not, like I said, having stuff taken away from me by something that was completely out of my control. So, but I do look on that time as, we as a nation and a world. When I say that, as a world, we realize how important we are to each other and how important people are. And and the things that we have to do to help each other even more.
Yeah, I remember when we did Christchurch, was it last year? We did the virtual panel when we were actually back in the stadium, and we had the people in the audience, and you were able to see, and not, again, physically interact with them, but you could see the effect that your presence has on your fans. And I remember how that moment made me feel and how it made you feel. In those tough moments during the pandemic, what were the things that you could think of in the long, what memories from the before times, before we were locked away in a pandemic, really helped you get through those dark times?
Well, hoping and knowing that we could get back, that, we're stronger than we think. And if I can, just quote a lesson that, again, you learn from a character, but I learned from another character, and I'm not going to quote the correct line, but, the doctor said to Jack, humans are good people. Humanity is good. It's the things that are from the outside that bring in, that cause the problems, and that's what we have to fix. But the doctor said, humanity is good. And that was one thing that I always kept in the back of my mind, no matter how much we would go down a road that seemed disastrous, not only with COVID, but with the ginger-haired nut fuck that we had as a president. And no offense to people who have red hair, but I love my red hair fan family, but Donald Trump's another story. I still had hope, and I still had my husband Scott sometimes was like, it's over, we're done. he's going to put us all in concentration camps. We're all going to hell, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you have to have an element of hope. And I don't care what you believe in, but your faith, you have to have, even if you're an atheist, you have to have a little bit of faith. You just do. I know that sounds redundant, but have faith in witches.
Have faith in yourself. Have faith in something.
Have faith in yourself, yes, because you can change things.
Yeah. Or as I do, have faith in John Barrowman, knowing that no matter how you feel, watching a panel with John is always going to make you feel better.
Shut up.
No, it's only the truth. There's a question here we've got a few times that have been asked, and again, we know the answer. Would you ever like to come back to New Zealand once the borders open?
Oh, listen, yes, no, and I've said this before. My husband Scott has a New Zealand passport, so we actually could move to New Zealand. I could be one, and I could get a New Zealand citizenship because of my MBE and what I've done. I'm considered a person of special something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, no, we are chomping at the bit to, and that's one thing that as soon as the travel opened up and I got vaccinated, I protected myself. I wear a mask on the plane, except when I'm eating or doing quick videos to everybody. But I wanted to make sure people know that I'm getting out there and I'm pushing, I'm trying to get back to normal. So as soon as it opens up, I will be back on a flight if I am asked, and I might be giving something away too soon, but there's something that I am working on that I said earlier, not to say that that's happening, but something else that we are planning dates in Australia and New Zealand. So it's just about you guys coming out of the place that you're in that we need to wait before we can move forward. And I am with you all the way. Support and good on the people of Auckland, because Auckland I love. My husband has jumped off the tower. So, you know, and we've had such great times down there. We will be back in a second.
And we would have you back in a second. And like I said, there'll be a time, I suppose, when you are maybe looking to step down and relax a little bit and enjoy, you know, I mean, what, about 20, 30 years from now when you finally hit your 50s, when you can actually enjoy retirement. By then, come down. Become a New Zealand citizen. We'll get a beach.
Listen, I've already said to Scott, we'll buy a, if we did it, we'd buy a big piece of land. We'd build a really nice house that would have an area that we could have like family over for barbecues and everything. I said, but I am not driving. I have to have a helicopter. The roads are too small and too long.
Oh yeah. Well, we won't. Yeah, New Zealand driving. I think taking a helicopter is a smart idea. But we'll have flying cars by then anyway. I'm sure.
That's what I thought when I was in. Well, last time I was there, I chartered a helicopter and we flew all over the island. It was just the best way to see the beauty of you know, New Zealand, and also the quickest way to get around. So there you go.
So I just want to touch
and our pilot was cute.
Well, that always helps. So Christmas is coming up. We're closer than we thought, and obviously you've got A Fabulous Christmas, which is an album that you can get if you haven't already got for Christmas.
Yes.
Any thoughts on releasing another album?
Not for Christmas, no. Christmas albums are kind of difficult in the sense that it's a seasonal thing. So they come out, they're gone, then they come back out. So I think that one's out now. If you want it, download it. It's good, nice to listen to on Christmas Day. But that's not to say there's not other things in the pipeline.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about, now, is it Accursion or Accursion? Accursion, yes.
It's part of the whole series of books that we've written, from the Hollow Earth series to Accursion. Again, I don't want to be giving away storylines, but if you love, they're not just a YA novel, you know, a young adult novel. Mm-hmm. It's written for adults also, but it's a great adventure. And we have, like, for instance, Remy Dupree, who is one of the characters that we start off with. This is how you discover him, and he discovers that there's something different and special about him. He has to go, he has to go look for and avenge the murderer of his aunt and his mother. It's been a long time since we wrote the books and also read the books, but the whole thing opens with a very violent scene. But he's a descendant of one of the first slave ships that was brought into North America. And he has an ability to change things with music. And so my sister and I, when we were writing the whole series, you've got the twins who are from Hollow Earth who can manipulate and do things with art. And now we're bringing in music. So we were bringing the different theatrical art forms into it. We also have a really prominent character who is deaf, and you don't know he's deaf till halfway through the book, because we did not want him to be defined for his, and again, I apologize because the right word is not coming into my head, and I know it doesn't mean a negative thing.
Divergence.
But his what?
His divergence, maybe. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I don't know what the correct word is at the moment. So you're appreciative of who he is rather than what he cannot do, which is here. So, and then at one point we say he signed, and everyone's like, oh my God. So it's and that just reiterates and in those books, we have a character who's gay, we have bisexual characters, we have a girl going through, puberty and falling in love with everything. And so we've really hit on the stuff that my sister and I wanted to make sure that everybody and everything is represented within, and you're the hero of your own story. And it's also unapologetic, as I have said, never apologize for being nerdy, because non-nerdy people don't apologize for being assholes. So, in that book, it's the same thing. It's the biggest of nerds who are the heroes.
And regardless of what background you have or how you identify, there's something relatable for everyone, and the story is
absolutely
really good. Absolutely.
You don't have to be exactly like that character, but the stories and the storytelling you can relate to. It's like me with The Outsiders. It's one of the books that impacted my life greatly, and I'm now fortunate enough to have dialogues with S.E. Hinton, who wrote the books, which just makes me just thrill. However, that book, I was nothing like those characters, but I identified with it. So it that's the other thing. Put the phones down for a little bit and read.
Yeah. Now, just for the record, John had no idea I was going to ask him those sorts of questions. This is just something that I like to do, find out a little bit more. So we weren't plugging anything. I just wanted to know.
Not at all. That was me.
I did that.
You got plug.
No, that was me, because I think it should be plugged, because everyone I talk to that's read those books just rave about them.
It's a Friday night, and usually other things are plugged, but it's all by myself.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and our time with you. I know. Yeah. So all the Whovians salute. John, thank you so much. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for the work you've done now. You've touched so many of us in different ways. I'll leave that as it is. Please give
Don't get me in any more trouble.
Please give our love to Scott. Give him a big hug from us here in New Zealand.
And listen, thank you very much. And as always, I wish I had a better cosplay or something here, but I grabbed the t-shirt at the last minute, and this is, still means a lot. But thank you for having me. It gives me something else to do, and I love it, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Love you, New Zealand. Love you, Auckland. Armageddon, baby. See you later,
Goodbye,
guys.
sir. Have a good
Big
day.
kisses. Let me see all your comments on Twitter. Hit it.
Yeah. Now get some sleep.
Oh, no, listen, I'm going to go eat some tiramisu salata, and I'm watching Invasion on Apple TV at the moment. I'm going to go watch the first episode.
Oh, just before you head off, anything to say hey to Colton? I'm talking to Colton in a couple of hours.
Colton Haynes.
Yeah.
Are you? Well, just tell him just say I found the picture.
Done. All right, John. Thank you very much.
Right. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye. Ashley, just look to me for a second, and I'll just say, put me on camera. Ashley, there we go. Right. So Armageddon, hey, thanks for hanging out for the John Barrowman panel. As I mentioned, we will be getting joined by Colton Haynes. That's at 12 o'clock. But right now, jump onto the Facebook page. You'll see a link to an Instagram stream that is about to happen, a live comic drawing by the talented Bill Sinkovich. So get on there, check it out. And once you've done that, I'll see you back here at 12 o'clock and we'll talk to fellow Arrow alumni, Colton Haynes. See you soon, New Zealand.